Will's not a Christian. How do we talk to non-Christians when we're counselling, when we want to reveal the truth and the light to them and they're not interested? Well, we hear the story, of course. We're here to help people. We want to know them. We want to love them. We want to bring in the truth when we can. This is what Will's life was like, and he was telling me about. He said that he started drinking again. He drank 2 nights this week, but he said he was still able to get up in the morning, so it wasn't too much. He started to smoke rollies instead of cigarettes, and he buys 2 pouches a week at $125 per pouch for 40 grams of tobacco. He still smokes weed. He says weed is cheaper than alcohol and cigarettes. He pays $100 for 7 grams, which lasts him a week. So that's not as expensive. His mum just got out of rehab. She got out early, so he thinks she's on meth again. They had a massive fight that he told me about. He and his mum were both drinking. He put his kids to bed. He said, now we need to go to bed. It's time to stop drinking. His mum had said, no. He got angry. He was drunk as well. He pulled her out physically, threw her out of the house and locked the door. Well, she banged on the doors and windows. She smashed around the house. She went to the back and was trying to smash the back door in. They ended up having a big fight. The police were called. It was a disaster. In this altercation, he had hurt himself. After it, he didn't speak to his mum for a year. He said he spent his whole childhood begging her not to drink. Now he sees her as an 18-year-old mentally who has had a hard life. He reached out to her and they have restored a relationship somewhat, although he thinks she's back on meth. Then he told me about a massive fight that he had with his cousin. It was due to drinking, basically. They were drinking too much. His cousin's very angry. His cousin had a crack at him, so he fought back and smashed his cousin up. Drove a couple of hours, completely drunk, to get home from his cousin's. Damaged his hand so much punching his cousin that there was a big cut and it got infected, and he was in hospital for 3 days and 3 nights. And then he said, thank God. And he said, thank God I had 3 weeks off and I could recover and I didn't lose any income. So I wrote, thank God. I said, he's the right one to thank. God is the right one to thank. He took that all right, because he'd said it, and he agreed that it was good to have some time off, and so he accepted what I said. He said he's getting sick of drinking alcohol. He had 12 last night, 12 tins of alcohol. He said he used to have 4 cartons in 6 weeks. He used to have 10 or 12 a night and get up the next day with no after effects. But he said he can't do that now that he's in his early 20s. He says his drinking is peer pressure. He wants to be cool to people, he said. And he said, I'm a chameleon. I've got a rubber arm, which means in Australian slang that you can twist his arm and he'll do what you want. But he's saying he's got a rubber arm. And he said he likes being a mentor to the young guys. Now, when he is talking about being a chameleon, about wanting to be accepted by people, I mentioned that we are made to be loved and to love. And if we haven't been loved and we want love, then we will develop strategies to get that love. And him being a chameleon is something that he does to gain people's acceptance and approval and to be recognized by people. So again, we've added a characteristic of the God that he thanked for having some time off, made to be loved and to seek acceptance. And I said, God is love. He said he likes being a mentor to the young guys. He likes having an influence. I asked him, when are you yourself? What sort of people do you need to be around to be the best version of you that you are? And he said he likes being a mentor to the young guys at work. He likes being someone that they ask for advice. He says he's most like himself when he's at the gym. He feels like Superman. And he says he feels like himself when he's with his kids, and he likes who he is when he's with his kids. He said that lying and cheating on his wife made him feel bad. So I put in there, so telling the truth is good. And he agreed with that. So I wrote, thank God, who is love and truth. He knows what I'm doing, but he's willing to accept it because we've got a good relationship. We have a good banter. We trust each other. He said the lying and cheating made him feel bad because he had a guilty conscience. I introduced the concept of shame. That shame is feeling less than and feeling accused. And he agreed with that. He said that he tries to manage the thoughts that accuse him. I suggested to him that he capture the thoughts. Now, when you're a Christian, we know 2 Corinthians 10, 4 and 5. which says the weapons that we use are different to the weapons the world uses. On the contrary, we have divine power to demolish strongholds and every pretense, every pretension, every lie that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, taking captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So I'm bringing that principle into his life. He knows the thoughts are there. He knows they're accusing. He knows they're not his friend. He knows they bring shame. He knows because he said, I do try and stop those thoughts. And so I suggested to him that he does capture the thoughts and replace them with the truth. Now, what truth can he replace them with? Well, the truth is that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. He feels powerful when he goes to the gym. He knows that his body is amazing. So he can capture the thought, you're useless, you're hopeless, you're worthless, and replace it with, I have an amazing body. That's scriptural. He has an amazing brain and amazing skills in his work. He's very good at what he does. We talked about babies being made to love by a God of love who long and crave the love and affection and touch of others, because that is what we're made for. He knows every time I say we're made for something that I'm talking about the God that I believe in, and he doesn't. He said we're made to love and be loved and to tell the truth, so that when we lie or cheat, it makes us feel bad and we're susceptible to the accusations, the thoughts that we need to capture. So you see, we're not using scripture, but we are using scripture because we're telling the truth that we learned from scripture, and that is part of his experience. So he's not going to be able to walk out of this room and dismiss what I've said, because it's real to his experience that he's explained and described to me already. So as a last little thing at the end, I suggested that he have a look at C.S. Lewis's The Narnia Chronicles and the documentary, The Most Reluctant Convert, that's come out recently, which is free on Prime. Now, we left as friends. He didn't resent me for trying to convince him that what I believe about God is true. I encourage you to be bold when you're talking with non-Christians. When they raise issues, to link them to Scripture and to let them know that, because it will open up a window potentially for them to start thinking, I like this counsellor. I like what's happening to me as I listen to what they say. They've been helpful to me, but they have this crazy idea about God. But what they say makes sense. This is actually one of the things that drew C.S. Lewis to Christ. The people that he respected most as authors, like Chesterton and George MacDonald, he dismissed their Christian faith, but he liked the way they thought. Then one day he thought to himself, maybe it's not a coincidence that the people that I like as authors, as thinkers, most of them seem to be Christians. Maybe that's not a fluke. And we want that sort of realization for our non-Christian counselees. Of course, as a biblical counsellor, they know that you believe the Bible, and that puts you in a category that maybe is outside of their experience. But we can speak to them from that. We can be bold with it, and I encourage you to be. This is our calling. Be very wise, ask God for his wisdom, and he will give it to you. And you will see the people that God has entrusted to you starting to move along the trajectory of not knowing who God is, not caring who God is, to start having questions. And in subsequent sessions, there is no doubt that he will raise questions. So, be very wise, but you can be bold.